What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we have a special guest with us, the legendary Roger Cleveland.
Josh.
Roger, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely.
Legendary wedge designer here. There's so much to learn. We just filmed a video, or a couple videos for Callaway called Wedgecation. Stay tuned for that series coming out. But as I was sitting here talking to Roger, I just learned a lot. So we have the new wedges from Callaway. We got the Jaws Raw. It comes with 4 different grinds. Roger, first of all, let's talk about the grinds and the differences that they have.
We have different grinds based upon terrain. So if you've got firm or soft terrain, the East Coast and Northeast, typically softer, and different other areas firmer. And so we have bounces for that. So you need a little less bounce, or a certain type of, based upon your technique for firmer conditions, and therefore softer conditions, so we need something else.
Right.
So we have an X grind for again, technique, and if you take big divots and you're steep, okay, take lessons, okay, try and take some of that steepness out.
So steep is no good when you're chipping and pitching, right?
Typically that means you have a lot of set in your hands, and you gotta slow down your body to release the head back to the ball.
Yep.
And that works some of the time.
Right.
Typically, when you have good rotation and width, you have better contact. So when you are steep, we have 2. We have the X,
right,
which is very narrow and a lot of bounce.
Right.
And then we have a W,
right,
for a person who is steep. Typically, it's wider, has a little tighter radius from front to back,
right,
and for people who are steep. The other ones that we have are for pretty standard shallow attack angles. We have a new Z that has a little bit less bounce, but it's wide, so it's really pretty good for a shallow. And then we have the standard S. For people who don't want to necessarily open it up, you'll see there's relief on the heel on all these. When you open it up, you need
that a lot.
Yep.
So when you're steep, or if you're playing in soft conditions, more bounce.
More bounce.
Right. So the W and the X grind from the Jaws Raw would be for most people that are playing in those conditions that are a little steeper.
Be helpful for sure. Okay.
It's not gonna let you dig.
The other thing that we have, which is really important, is that we have a chamfer on the leading edge.
Okay, chamfer. Talk to me about that, because
that is really important. On all the lofts from 54 on up, we have a chamfer. It gets a little bigger on the higher lofts, 58 and 60. And that chamfer is an angle, and it's cut into the leading edge, and it wants to skid. Okay.
So
if you have just a bull nose, okay, or a tight radius, that wants to dig.
Right.
So this is your friend, and you get into tight conditions against the grain. Very helpful.
So a little relief near the leading edge, and that's acting like a skid plate, you're saying?
That's right. So we really have 2 skid plates. You have the bounce that's on the club itself, and then you have an additional skid plate so you won't dig.
That's interesting, because earlier I said when I first looked at it, it looked a little sharper, so I thought it would dig more, and you're saying it's going to help. And when we were hitting shots, we had some of the tightest lies you could possibly get. I mean, this is like the green length of most golf courses.
Yes.
We got here today, I said, was this green or not? But we were hitting shots off this tight lie, and it's wet, so you can hear that club kind of get into the ground. It's wet, but when I'm hitting these shots here, this is the S here. But Roger, why don't you hand me that?
I'll repair this.
Why don't you hand me the X grind that I was using earlier? Well, this is the S.
Oh, that's the S? Okay.
So the X grind we talked about earlier, it's got more bounce, 12 degrees of bounce.
But it's very narrow.
It's narrow, so this is a great wedge for me so far, because it has forgiveness, but I can also hit shots off tight lies and those harder shots.
It has heel and toe relief. So when you open the face, typically if you have a lot of heel, that leading edge is going to come off the ground. Right. Because we reduce the width on the heel, when you open it up, you can still get that leading edge.
Oh wow! So you have extra bounce, but when you're opening it up, not quite as much bounce.
That's correct.
I like that a lot.
The width reduces.
Because on these tight lies, you open it up too much. I hit that one. You see that kind of hit a couple times, 1 or 2 times, and then stop.
Well, this is the most aggressive groove of anybody in the industry with this wedge.
So even though it's soft, even though it's tight, I feel I can kind of get down into the ground and have it bounce off. You see, I'm not making any divots. Sorry, this plane just keeps circling around this right now. But you can see as I hit shots here, even though I feel like I'm almost digging the leading edge, I'm trying to at least. Nothing, no dip, huge.
So we have a raw face, hence the name.
Yeah, this one.
So it's chrome here, and we have a raw face from the par area all the way to the end of the toe. We do that one, it gets a nice patina after a while, so it doesn't reflect. We're in the bright sun right now, and this is not reflecting. You don't want something to reflect and disturb you or distract you when you're opening it up in a bunker or a shot.
Will that rust over time ultimately add more spin too?
Not really.
No,
not really. But when you take a Scotch-Brite, a purple Scotch-Brite is the key. You get your pad in a hardware store, cut them up in like 2-inch squares, and just take that rust right off.
Okay, I like that. What about the groove and groove technology?
Well, the micro grooves wear out pretty fast.
Right.
So it's pretty cool for the first 30 or 40 shots.
Yeah. Right. But they still have the most aggressive grooves to go.
Absolutely. We have a sidewall that's 37 degrees in the top of the face, and there's no radius. It just comes up and cuts. Yeah. So that is an edge, and that edge is the key. And you go take that Scotch-Brite, and it's good.
So if you're someone at home who's looking for more spin, step 1 is to make sure you have a good ball, Chrome Soft X, and step 2 is to get yourself the Jaws Raw.
Other things, we have a higher CG and the higher lofts. We put weight up high. We also extended the length of the hosel. Believe it or not, that little thing helps move your center of gravity up. The higher the CG, the lower the lunge, the more spin. So you have control. Spin is your friend, and you control not only your trajectory, but the amount of spin.
So I think that's the number 1 question I get, is how to hit the low spinners.
Yep.
Let's try the W now.
The other thing is that we have tungsten out on the toe. We have 2 little areas where we have tungsten here, and in the 56, 54 we go to 1 and then none in the others. But what this does, it acts like a barbell, very stable, and really improves feel. The feel of this wedge is amazing. So you want to hit the W?
Yeah, so I've kind of made my money over the years from Callaway wedges. It's the first wedge I bought when I started doing trick shots. So I have this man right here to thank largely. But this is by far the most comfortable I've felt over a wedge in my life. So this is the W, it's got more bounce. Yep. Okay, this is gonna be more forgiving. Oh, that almost went in. You see how that, I love how it bounces once or twice and just stops like that.
So this would not be ideal for Josh.
Right.
It'd be okay, but it wouldn't be ideal.
Right.
But the W is really forgiving. He hit like 2 inches behind that ball.
Yeah.
Still was pretty good.
100%.
That's what this
There's
does.
so much more forgiveness with this, especially if you're playing in softer conditions where maybe your fairways are a little bit longer. They're not like here where they're like green. This could be something that you look forward to.
Absolutely.
Because I think that's the number 1 thing that I get when people, especially at my course, they'll walk into the pro shop and they'll say, "What grind should I use and how much bounce?" Well, I mean, and I think you gotta just explain it there. Softer conditions, you dig more. You need more bounce. Firmer condition, less bounce.
That's it.
All right, well, thanks so much for tuning in, guys, and a huge shout out to Roger Cleveland for gracing us with his presence on the channel.
Josh,
stay tuned.
For coming out to
thank you so much for having
La La Land. That was fun.
Stay tuned to Callaway Golf's YouTube channel for our 5-part Wedge-ication series coming soon. Thanks so much, guys. See you next time.
Take care.